Adventures in time and space, told in future tense. All radio is dead.
They're coming to get you, Barbara. Look, there comes one of them now.
Welcome. I'm Kyle.
I'm Brad.
And risen from the coffin, we are the Nosferadudes. Hey, Brad.
Hey, Kyle.
Do you have sour balls?
Sure do.
Well, that's too bad.
I bet you don't get many blowjobs.
So, Brad, why am I being an idiot with a Halloween mask on and asking you about your sour balls?
Because tonight we're talking about Night of the Demons.
That's right, Night of the Demons. Last week, this is the second installment. This is the part deux.
Part deux.
Of our Night of series. Our first film was Night of the Comet. Yep. So we go from intergalactic, planetary, intergalactic, and now
that song's gonna be in my head all fucking night.
And now we're moving into the realm of the supernatural.
That's right.
Magic. Now, so Night of the Demons. We're talking about 1988. We're not talking about the remake.
No,
not the Eddie Furlong vehicle.
Yep.
Night of the Demons. We're talking about the OG, the 1988. I would say classic. Brad.
Oh, classic. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 1988 classic Night of the Demons. Here, I need to.
Although, Kyle, I'm gonna probably bring something up a little later, and I don't know if you're gonna agree with me, but it might be, it's a little wild. So,
it's wild.
Yeah.
Wild.
I have it. I have a thought about the Night of the Demons series. So, I want to talk about that a little later.
Okay. We'll get into it. We'll get after
All
it.
Right. Good.
So, Night of the Demons, Brad, directed by Kevin Tenney.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Kevin Tenney, he's got a resume. He is, I would say, a favorite of ours. I think we appreciate Kevin Tenney's work because Kevin Tenney was the director of what other classic?
Witchboard?
That's right. The movie that set the rules of Ouija.
Yep.
For every teenager, tweenager,
yep,
young adult who saw that film.
Isn't that being remade?
It is. Witchboard. There is a remake coming.
Yeah,
I don't think much has been. I don't think much has been hammered out just yet.
I haven't heard much.
But it is on the way. Luckily, this isn't a Dwayne the Rock Johnson is not the one trying to remake Witchboard. So we can all breathe a sigh of relief there. But yeah, Kevin Tenney, Witchboard, Witch Trap, Witchboard 2, The Devil's Doorway, Witchboard 3, The Possession. And then he also directed Night of the Demons Part 3 and the 2009 remake.
Do you remember seeing Part 3? I think we talked about this.
We talked about Part 3. It's on our docket. We did watch Part 2. Since we've seen Night of the Demons. Brad, about how many times, if you had to guesstimate,
have we seen I've seen Night of the Demons 100 times. I don't know.
So we actually finally gave Part 2 a watch.
I've seen that before. I've seen Night of the Demons 2 before. But, all right, I guess out with it, right? I like Night of the Demons 2. I really do. I dig it. I mean, as far as like a really like a bad fun horror movie to watch, I could watch that all day.
Yeah, it's definitely our speed. We're of the Mystery Science Theater 3000 generation. Although I
Mm.
would say that when we discovered Mystery Science Theater 3000, it was more of a coming home. It was more of a because we were already kind of watching bad off the shelf
Mm.
horror movies and ragging on them
Yep.
as we watch them.
Just
And when you
realized other people did it too and did it
yeah,
well and did it on TV.
that's right. That's right. So
Yeah.
we have a bit of a kinship with that. So yeah, anytime you find something that is and here's the thing. So I want to kind of start off before we get into other stuff. When we the times where we do have bad things to say about movies, um, it's still completely out of love. We're going to eventually get into movies where we're going to rag hard
Sure.
on the movies.
God
But
help
we
us if we do Hereditary.
but I mean overall we love horror. So we wouldn't be ragging on things if we didn't also love the genre, love the attempt, even when
Mhm.
the attempt is an abject failure.
Yep.
I mean, hey, they made a movie, you know.
I'm just saying that Night of the Demons 2 is highly enjoyable. At least those are my thoughts.
Yeah, if you're on a Friday night, eating beer, eating beer and drinking
Eating beer and
pizza
drinking pizza, baby.
with your buddies, and
Chugging that pepperoni down.
you want to find a great movie that you don't need to pay too much attention to, and you can have a good laugh, with.
Yep.
And also, I mean, it's got like it still has like Night of the Demons 2 still had the classic, practical effects, people
Yep.
getting heads chopped off and playing basketball with the heads and all
All
that kind of
that's
stuff.
fun in horror.
But Night of the Demons, the original, the OG,
Yep.
the classic, starring Amelia Kincaid, Linnea Quigley, Kathy Podwell, uh, Billy Gallo, Hal Havens, Lance Fenton, a great cast. Jill Terashita, Philip Tanzini, a lot of good people in this movie. A lot of fun actors, and they're not. It's not. None of them are bad actors. Like I don't think any of them are necessarily bad actors. They're playing their characters and they're playing their characters well. The douchebags are douchebags, and you
Yep.
love to hate them. The good girls are good girls, and the bad girls are bad girls.
Right.
And it's all heightened, it's all camped up, but it's all great fun viewing.
Absolutely.
But before we get deeper in, Brad,
Mm-hmm.
it's time for Nosferadudes.
Wicked, evil, twisted.
I got news for you, pal.
So on this installment of Nosferadudes, I don't have a whole lot.
Oh, good, because I do.
Okay, so I'll start with a brief, just a brief bit of a plug, a mini critique. If you haven't seen Hard Eyes, like check it out. That I think Hard Eyes is worth the price of admission.
Right.
Right. It's another Josh Rubin film. He did it's his second film that he's directed, and he went all out. He went all out. He basically, I saw an interview where he said, I wanted to take every part of 80s slasher films that I loved, and I wanted to get that in this movie
Mm-hmm.
and have that feel of the classic 80s slasher, but yes, for a modern crowd.
Yeah.
And I think he pulled it off. I think it's great. He's trying to build up accolades so that he can finally secure the job. He's dying to direct a Darkman remake. He wants to either remake or do like a long distance sequel
Mm-hmm.
of Darkman.
Yeah.
And his sense of humor, his sensibility, I think he's got a good shot if he can get in the room with Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
My second bit of business is so I don't know where if there's any crossover in our audience of horror movie lovers mixed with lovers of the paranormal in general, but
I'm sure.
the opening the new season of Ghost Adventures has premiered. They're about 2 weeks in, but here's the tie-in. The very first episode, they are investigating the house that was used in Poltergeist.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And I'll tell you, if
Yeah.
even if you don't believe in the paranormal, the level of nostalgia, because apparently that was a single family home for the last 40 years. So that house inside, there's almost no furniture in it right now. It's under a new owner. They finally sold the house, and it's under a new owner. And she's the one who invited them in because she had like some minor weird wooey woo stuff happen. And she was wondering about it because apparently that house is supposedly built on former Native American land. And also, of course, that's the house that when they dug the hole where an actual pool does sit now, the hole in the backyard that they dug, like the family was supposed to be digging a pool, that hole was where they filmed Joe Beth Williams interacting with the what turned out later to be realized were very real skeletons that were made up to look like prop skeletons, but they were obtained from apparently originally a medical supply. So they go in and they go in to investigate, and that house, the inside, the tile, the carpets, the fixtures, unchanged. It's literally you're looking at the Poltergeist house from 1980, and it was 1980, right? But it's the same house. Everything is the same.
Yep.
Everything is the same. It was, I won't comment on the investigation itself. If you love Ghost Adventures, you love them. I like them, but I admit those guys are way over the top. But if you want to get like a nostalgia hit of the movie Poltergeist, check it out.
1982, Kyle.
1982. There you go. Hasn't been touched since 1982.
Great year, 1982. I was 3 years old.
And and they did do part of the investigation. They actually had an old floor unit TV set.
Yeah.
That of course they put on the snow, and did part of the investigation with that thing on. So just a cool trip. Even if you're not into ghosts or ghost hunting, like I enjoyed it just to see the house. So Brad,
Yes.
what do you got? Sling it out.
Okay. All right. Well, the Friday the 13th prequel series is finally underway.
That's right. They finally got it up and running.
Yep, it was Instagrammed out from the new showrunner, the script, and so Linda Cardellini, who is Velma in Scooby-Doo, has been cast as Pamela Voorhees.
That's right, and I will go on the record as the hottest Velma that there ever was.
Oh, definitely. Yep. And so it's funny too. So I got this. This is off of Movie Web. So one of the interesting things we talked in previous episodes about kind of the rights, like, so what is going on with this series, right? Like, it's supposed to be a prequel series, but Brian Fuller, the previous showrunner, promised that you were going to see basically every iteration of Jason. Which didn't make sense to me because of the rights issues. So Brian Fuller actually was quoted as saying that the movie rights. Right. So there's a difference, right? There's intellectual property, and then apparently that there's a spinoff of just the movie rights. So the movie rights are tied up at New Line Cinema. But it's very, according to Brian Fuller, it's very messy. So he does not foresee like a movie anytime soon, right?
Yeah,
so
okay.
it's all messed up right now. However, the TV rights were a different story. Victor Miller was able to get TV rights, so through the intellectual property, his intellectual property, so they can actually, because they have all the TV rights to the whole intellectual property, to the whole IP, so they can do whatever iteration of Jason that they want because it's part of the series. So that if that clears things up, and again, that's Movie Web. I got to give them credit. But yeah, I thought that was the most interesting part of that. So
yeah, definitely.
It might go back, and maybe it goes back and forth. Maybe it shows Jason in the present or something like that, and then it goes back and tells the story of, Pamela Voorhees and Jason when, before he died, and all leading up to the drowning. So,
yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool.
They got to go back. Marty McFly rolls up in his DeLorean, says, "Jason, get in."
Yeah. Got to get back in time. Okay. Did you have a comment?
No, I just said, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of excitement behind that. I know that it's kind of amazing because that's the one that's really coming together. And meanwhile, like I haven't heard bupkis about the proposed Haddonfield. There's been no news coming out about that. So I don't know.
It's a copycat industry, right? So
at this point,
they're gonna. Well, that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna wait. They're gonna sit back. They're gonna see how this goes, and if this goes well, then you'll see that rolled out really quickly.
Well, and the nice thing there is, sometimes it's good to be first, sometimes it's not, because it might give them a chance to see. Because how many times now are we seeing these like established properties? Like it seems like every other month there's some established property, something comes out, something gets made, the fans hate it, and so it might benefit the Haddonfield folks to see what this series does right and what it does wrong, and maybe make some adjustments before they come out with whatever their thing is going to be.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm really excited, but I'm cautiously optimistic because it's been since 2009, 16 years since the last time you saw Jason on screen. So it's just been such a struggle to get anything with him. And even the video game, they rolled the video game out, which was pretty popular when it came out. And then the rights thing happened and they couldn't make any more, they updates to the video game, and it was a mess.
It's now not available.
And now it's not available. It's been such a struggle. They've been fighting for so long that, it's frustrating. So when you hear a piece of news like this, you're like, yes, but I've kind of seen this movie before. So I just want to wait and kind of see how it starts to develop, and if more castings come out and we start to really see, once I start to see maybe like production stills and stuff like that, I'll feel a lot better.
Yeah. And I and there's something to be said too, before we get back into Night of the Demons. There's something to be said for, you and I are excited about this. I'm sure lots of other horror fans are excited about this, but I'll tell you, it's a tough go right now for properties, established properties, coming out with new things, coming out with going into different media, different formats. Just this past week, we had 2 horror movies come out, or actually probably now almost 2 weeks ago. Two horror movies come out. One was Until Dawn, which is based on a video game. Very popular, very. I never did play it, but I understand an amazingly great video game, very scary. Which they did something really cool with in the video game was they did like motion capture and they used the actors' actual faces. So Hayden Panettiere is in Until Dawn, the video game, and it's actually her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a movie. You're interacting in like basically a mini movie. So now they've come out with the movie. The movie has tanked. The, the movie is flatlining.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Ryan Coogler comes out with Sinners, completely original property, and it's blowing up.
That was in my Nosferadudes. Was $160 million worldwide. I'm anxious to see it. It takes a lot to get me to the theater. So I'll probably watch this when it first comes out on Amazon, or up for rental. But I am looking forward to watching it.
I wanted to watch it. I wanted to go this past weekend. I do actually I would like to see it in a theater.
Mm.
Tom Cruise said see it in the theater.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Yep.
Tom Cruise came out. I mean, Tom Cruise is like anything that goes big in the theater. Tom Cruise is all about it.
Right.
But Pedro Pascal came out and he posted a picture of himself like wearing the shirt. like he was like, yeah, and he was like, you got to see this movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to see it. I would like to still see it in the theater. Unfortunately, this weekend didn't work out, but payday is coming. So maybe this next weekend I'll get out there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anything else, Brad?
Oh yeah. So a couple more things. So Lar Park Lincoln, who played Tina in Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, passed away from cancer. She was 63. So I just wanted to say rest in peace, Lar Park Lincoln. That was very sad. I watch, how much of a fan I am of the series and how much I watch these movies. And so I saw it pop up on my feed and I was like, oh man, that sucks. So
yeah, she was the telekinetic, right?
She was the telekinetic. Yep.
She was
in there with Terry Kaiser from
Weekend at Bernie's.
Yep. So 7 was an interesting movie, but I believe it was the first one with Kane Hodder as Jason, if I'm correct about that, because I don't think he didn't play Jason in number 6. I think he started with 7.
I think you might be right.
Yep.
Yeah, 7, 8, 9, and X, right?
Yes, correct. So the other thing I wanted to bring up, because we did a show on it, did you see the I Know What You Did Last Summer trailer?
I have not gotten to see the trailer. No, I'm going to have to check it out.
Nah, you don't though. You don't. No, I kid. I think it's going to be bloodier.
It almost has
just
to be,
going
right?
by the it can only be bloodier.
You can only go up.
You can only go up. But I think it looks like they're gonna try to make it a little scarier than maybe the original was. The original, like I said in the episode when we covered it, it's kind of like if CW made a horror movie, So
Yeah.
This looks like they put the effort in to make it jump scary, and a little bit maybe more violent.
Yeah, and we talked. You have you had a Scottish director for the original film, and he had more of a bit of a European sense of a slasher film. It was for him. It was not about the blood. It was not about It was more about he wanted to make it more about suspense, more about the characters, more about things like that. And
I don't want to get into this discussion, but I think we talked about this, how Halloween is one of the most bloodless horror movies out there. and it's still one of the scariest because of the tension and the atmosphere and everything that John Carpenter built in that movie. So you can do it. It's not. He's right. It's not about the blood, but if you can't do those other things, you got to make it about the blood. You got to throw a lot of blood in there.
Right, because we talked about it. We said if the whole entire movie had been crafted as well as Sarah Michelle Gellar's lead up to her death scene, then it would have been probably one of the best slashers we had ever seen. Unfortunately, the whole movie as a whole didn't have that same level of filmmaking and tension and suspense that one sequence had.
I don't know if it would have been one of the best we've ever seen, but it certainly would have been a lot better.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. All righty, Brad. Let's get back at it. Unless you had anything else.
No, that was it. Hey, a lot of things happened. So,
well, hey, this was Brad's day to shine in Nosferadudes.
I was trying to make up for like the last few episodes where I was like, yeah, I forget.
Yeah, Preacher ate my homework.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna start the movie because we're already a ways in.
Oh, are you saying I put us behind? Is that what you're trying to say?
No. I'm completely happy with what you came up with.
Oh, good.
You did an amazing job. I love it.
Yay.
But all right, so let's get into this film.
Let's get into it.
Let's get after it. Night of the Demons. So Night of the Demons, again, directed by Kevin Tenney. What do we think of the opening sequence?
You mean like the credit scene?
Yeah.
The animated kind of scary Halloween-y credit scene. I love that. I love. It's a loss. It was like only the 80s, right? It was like 80s. Maybe you had a couple of movies in the early 90s that would do the animated intro.
Right.
Like you had like National Lampoon's like Christmas Vacation, right? They do the animated intro.
Yeah, Santa Claus. And,
right. Right. And there's a bunch of other movies. I think what was the movie with Billy Crystal? The
City Slickers.
City Slickers. That was right. I think that was kind of an animated.
I think
intro,
it was.
Wasn't it?
I think it was.
Right. So I don't know what it was about this is one of those great unique things about 80s movies is that animated intro. I love it. It's all those fun scenes of Halloween and demons and spooky houses and, all that fun stuff.
Well, right. And you automatically know what you're getting into.
Oh, you're nestled in for a classic horror movie.
Right. It's going to be about spooky, Halloween stuff. And there was an intention behind it. They wanted this opening to feel like Fantasia. Like Night on Bald
man. Oh, yes. One of my favorites.
That was the entire idea. Like they knew they weren't going to do Fantasia, right?
No.
But they wanted to create that same feeling. So that's why you have, the ghost that morphs into the tattered curtain.
Yeah.
And all this kind of little trickery, demons and ghosts floating and flying in from the ground and out of the air and all going into the house. And, you're like, oh my God, these guys are walking in the most haunted freaking house that ever existed.
Right. That's exactly what I was thinking.
I know. But I love it. It's a great opening, and I wish more movies, because also it's not only that, but it sets you up for they want you to have fun. This doesn't take itself too seriously. They're going to do there's going to be a lot of scary stuff.
It doesn't, but they do there's a lot of blood in this movie.
There is. There's a lot of blood, a lot of gore. A lot of great practical effects.
Yep.
A practical effect that until I was much older and began to learn about stuff, I had no idea. For years, I had no idea how they did the one effect. And we'll talk about it when we get there.
Okay.
But, it opens like a flaming jack-o'-lantern. And then it does the great fade wipe to the jack-o'-lantern on top of the
Stooge's car.
Yeah, Stooge.
Stooge.
Like a character named Stooge.
That's right.
You know, and
His
and
whole costume is just the pig nose.
well, yeah, and well, that's because his costume is basically him. Like,
Yeah.
that's a guy who is fully aware of what a pig he is,
Yeah.
and so he decided, I'm not going to do anything but put on a pig nose.
You know who Stooge is? Stooge is the guy that overflows the toilet at the party. He's the guy that leaves the fucking floater at the end of the fucking party. Who fucking broke the toilet?
Or does it on purpose and does the upper decker.
He probably would do the upper decker. Yeah, fucking son of a bitch.
Fucking Stooge.
Fucking Stooge.
Stooge, you son of a bitch. And so, I mean, right away we see Stooge, and we see, what's the girl's name? The girl's name is Helen. Yeah, Helen.
It's like our third Helen.
Yeah, Stooge, Helen, and Roger, right?
Yep.
I think Roger's in the car with them.
Yep, Roger's in the car. He's in the back.
And they're all driving they're already on their way to the party. And then we have a brief encounter with this old guy who we learn hates Halloween.
Okay, all right. So I had to look into this a little bit because we ran into this in Halloween 2, right? So there's a scene where the mom is helping her kid into the hospital emergency room because he's bit into an apple that presumably had like a razor blade in it because the razor blade's like sticking out of his lip. So I looked into it then before we did that episode. And then I looked into it again here because he's holding up the apple and the razor blades and he's like, they're all going to pay. You know, and all he's missing is the excited curly mustache, you know? So
he's got a giant old man chubby thinking about the razor blades.
So there have been multiple reports in the past of tampered candy. Right. And there are a couple of cases where there's one case where the Toronto police presumably found razor blades in apples. Right. And then there was another case of a guy who in the 70s who was handing out pixie sticks and then put arsenic in his kid's pixie stick and killed his own son with Halloween candy. But that was like murder. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So other than that, there's been no actual documented serious injury or death as a result of tampered candy, specifically razor blades in apples.
Yeah, it's a total urban legend.
It's like an urban legend, yeah.
It's a total urban legend. They think it was one of these things that it's either it's one or the other or both. Either it's kids spreading rumors amongst other kids about, my cousin hangs out with a guy who bit into an apple with needles in it. Dude, yeah. It's real. It really happens.
Right.
And also then you have in the 80s the rise of the overprotective parents who, are like, that was the whole movement about, hey, check your kids' candy and, check this, check that, and it's sort of like that beginning of, hey, boys and girls, the outer world is scary and we're going to instill a bunch of phobias and fears into you little children.
Yeah.
It's almost, it almost rises to like the level of like satanic panic where they're, it's like the parents just get so, they see one news report about the police got a call of a suspicion of a thing. And all of a sudden it's like, now you got to stop. Don't eat any of that. Put it on the table.
Yep.
Spread it out on the table.
Yep.
Your father and I have to check it.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember my parents checking my candy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, there was never any credible.
No, the Reese's peanut butter cups disappearing. No, I'm kidding.
there was never any credible report of any kid ever like biting into a razor
Right.
blade filled apple.
Right. So I just had to throw that out there.
Yeah, yeah, but it's one of the ways that Kevin Tenney like embeds this in as Halloween. Like that,
Yep.
this is
Absolutely.
the entire premise of this is based around a bunch of ne'er-do-well teenagers who all look like they're 43.
Yeah. Yep.
having a Halloween party at this abandoned former mortuary, right?
Yep. Yep.
Now it starts out we meet Stooge and them. Stooge is played by Hal Havens. If you love crappy 80s horror movies, and I say crappy in the best sense of the word, you'll know Stooge because he was also in Sorority Babes at the Slime Ball Bolorama.
Yeah.
Also with Linnea Quigley. Linnea Quigley, who was in this movie, she and Hal Havens were in that film together as well.
Speaking of Stooge.
Yeah.
So in the beginning of this movie, Stooge makes the girl Helen take the wheel so he
Right.
can moon the old man. But is it mooning if you keep your underwear up? Now I know it's like his underwear is like a jack-o'-lantern, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Right. And so he was like Happy Halloween. But it's not really mooning if you keep your pants up.
Right, and it was written as that he was supposed to moon the old guy. Oh wait, hang on, Linnea Quigley.
Oh, jeez, Kyle.
No, it's not. It's not mooning if you don't drop trout. Apparently, Hal Havens had a problem with that. He did not want to show his bare ass,
Oh, okay.
but it was originally written to be that way.
All right.
So we gotta stop here because we gotta talk about how we get introduced to Linnea Quigley.
Linnea's backside.
Linnea Quigley plays Suzanne.
Yeah.
And Amelia Kincaid plays Angela.
Yep.
And when we first see Suzanne, Brad, what's Suzanne up to?
Suzanne is distracting the boys behind the counter at the
The two
local.
clerks.
Right.
These guys were Jay and Silent Bob before there was Jay and Silent Bob.
Right. At the local corner store here, and she's just like. She's just got a sack, and she's just stuffing this thing like full of stuff for the party, right?
Yeah, Angela's running all around, and she is just shoplifting everything.
But here's my thing. So, like, okay, so Linnea Quigley is bending over in front of the clerks to distract them while Angela steals all the stuff. But there's like 10 other people in the store. They're just like...
Oh yeah, they all see her doing
They all
it.
see it. I don't know. I guess
They don't care.
Yeah, they don't care.
It's the 80s. They don't care.
Who gives a shit? But I'm surprised they don't take shit too. They're like, you know what I mean? The clerks are completely distracted. Don't you?
Oh yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
you? You know, snag something?
But yeah, so she's been over really looking at the Glad bags. She's really interested in those Glad trash bags.
Yeah.
And once Angela is successfully out of the store, then of course she asks the clerks behind the counter about their sour balls.
Yeah. And she just wants to look good for the boys.
That's right. She keeps checking her face and putting on her makeup because she wants to look good for the boys.
Yeah. You did remember to invite some cute boys, didn't you?
And it's so funny because there's like some not to get super heady. This movie does not need to get super heady, but there's some.
Oh, we're not getting into the subtext of this movie,
No,
are we?
no.
Okay.
There's some archetypes.
80s greed.
No, there are some archetypes that Kevin Tenney's playing with here.
Yeah.
And you have in the three girls that you've met so far, because before we meet Suzanne and Angela, we meet Judy.
Yep.
Judy, and as her brother puts it, her big cha-chas.
So I wanted to ask this. I made a note. Do we like the little brother Billy? Because
Billy is a creep.
okay, first thing I wrote down was creepy hiding in sister's closet, right?
He is. He's a I'll put it in 80s parlance. Billy's a meatball.
Yeah.
Billy is a total perv.
But then he has the ultimate burn of the movie. He calls his mom's baked goods sun-dried poodle turds because she offers them to what's his face.
Yeah, they're supposed to be like lady fingers or something.
I don't know why she said she pulled them out of the oven. I'm like, looks like you pulled them out of the refrigerator. But anyway, they looked really weird. They looked like little pieces of shit.
But yeah, and so not that Billy's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
His sister Judy does have amazing cha-chas.
Oh, jeez. I thought you meant about the turds.
Judy's played by Kathy Podwell. She actually was probably next to Linnea Quigley, probably the most famous person to come out of this movie because she had a run on Dallas as one of the Ewings. But yeah, so Judy is the typical. I mean, like, when I'm getting back to archetypes, Kevin Tenney paints her. She is the typical good girl.
Mm-hmm.
Even her down to her Halloween outfit, she dresses as Alice in Wonderland.
Yep.
Which also is like a fun little thing. He basically has his final girl, at Alice in Wonderland, but the Wonderland is this spooky demon-infested house, right?
Right.
Then we see Suzanne. Suzanne is kind of the typical slutty girl,
Yep.
right? She just wants to look good for the boys. She's asking guys about their sour balls, and she's dressed up like Have you ever figured out what Suzanne is supposed to be?
I have no idea.
Like, Suzanne is basically made up, like, because I used to think, probably somewhere in my head, I remembered it wrong, and I used to think she was a candy striper. But
no,
it's just a pink.
It's just a pink dress.
It's like a pink, like a pink baby doll dress, like
yeah.
And then she has like the lace frilled.
Maybe that's what she's supposed to be, like a doll.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, it almost is like just like typical kind of loose girl outfit for the 80s. Like that's what girls
well, I mean, is it that far away from Halloween today?
No, true.
You put like a little thing of bunny ears on and
There's a good question.
Not much else.
Did Linnea Quigley set the standard for the sexy Halloween costume?
Probably.
Was she the Pathfinder? Was she the one that blazed the trail for sexy Halloween?
I'll give her that credit.
Because now you got sexy dog costumes. You got sexy, like sexy everything.
Well, it's usually the sexy cat, right?
Oh yeah, that's the number one.
Yeah,
sexy cat. Sexy cat, the one that didn't get a song, not a smelly cat.
I do know that's a Friends reference, right?
It is.
Okay.
Some people out there get it. So
I was a Seinfeld guy.
Yeah. So then we see Angela, right? Now Angela, and correct me if I'm Angela. She is what I kind of see as the typical, the manic pixie dream girl type. She's like, and she's goth. Like it's.
I was just gonna say she's like the goth girl, who studies witchcraft in the corner of the library at school.
Right. Yeah, she's that kind of like the dangerous girl who is like, don't get too close, but come closer. Like
yeah, okay.
Yep. It's that kind of vibe.
I got you.
And she's dressed like, I can't tell if she's supposed to be like a dark Glinda the Good Witch, or if it's just like a black wedding dress. Like she's just like,
I thought she was supposed to be like a play on dark bride or evil bride or something.
Yeah, my wedding's not a white wedding, fuckers.
I got trained this afternoon.
But Amelia Kincaid, she actually went on to play Angela in all three of the original Night of the Demons, the series that eventually, developed. She also, point of reference, she was a dancer before she did this movie. This was like one of her breakout roles.
Yep.
And she was a dancer, and she danced in a lot of. She danced in the movie Girls Just Want to Have Fun. She was a dancer in Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo, which makes me want to go back and watch that movie to find Amelia Kincaid.
Absolutely.
Also, she danced in music videos for the Stray Cats, for Cher, for Scorpions, and for Sheena Easton. And she's also Rue McClanahan's niece.
Oh!
She is the niece of one of the Golden Girls.
Wow.
And Rue McClanahan visited her on the set. She heard she was doing a movie, and she said, "Let me come see. I want to come see what you're working on."
That's
and
awesome.
Rue McClanahan visited the set one day.
Awesome.
Now Amelia Kincaid works as a pet psychic. She talks to people's pets to find out their problems. And she travels all around the land doing that. And we got to meet her. We got a chance to meet her. And we got a chance to meet Linnea Quigley at the first
Jamboree.
Jamboree, drive-in Jamboree. Joe Bob's drive-in Jamboree. And I'll tell you something. Couldn't meet nicer people. They love their horror fans. They love
salt of the earth.
They love meeting and greeting. They were very nice to us. But Linnea Quigley, of course, Return of the Living Dead, Sorority Girls at the Slimeball Bolorama, Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers.
Yep. Legend.
But I kind of think it's funny the way Kevin Tenney sets up those first three female characters as these really like archetypal. You sort of immediately get a sense of who they are. And he kind of does that a little bit for everybody in the sense that, of course, Stooge is a pig, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then Judy's date for the evening, which his name is Jay.
Yeah.
I should know that because Judy says his name about 20 million times in the film.
Yeah.
Jay. Lance Fenton plays Jay, and Jay's outfit is like what? Don Johnson, right?
Yep.
He's supposed
like
to be
a
Don
poor
Johnson
poor man's version of Don Johnson from Miami Vice.
Yeah, from Miami Vice. And of course you get then eventually some other friends show up. You got Franny, who's dressed as sexy Peter Pan, and you have Max, played by Philip Tanzini. Although in this I would call him Basil Exposition.
Yes, very much so.
Well, he dresses him up as a doctor, so he's supposed to be like the smart guy, right? That's
right.
Like he's the one telling everybody about the history of the house.
So, Kyle, I have never attempted to listen for groundwater using a Halloween costume stethoscope. So I can't say for sure that it wouldn't work.
Probably not.
Can I? Okay.
It's one of these funny things where like it seems like when they were writing the film.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You have to picture this. So they come up there. They get on the Hull House property, and they're telling the story about how the demons can't cross the water, right?
Right.
And so they built the wall to the property on top of this underground stream. So that's where the demons can't cross for later.
Yeah,
in the movie.
they have to establish it. Right
It's that wall. It's that wall. So if you're over the wall, you're good. That's what they're trying to tell you. So he runs over to the wall and he's like, "Come here, listen." And he pulls his like Halloween costume from Spirit of Halloween or whatever, and he puts it on and he puts it to the ground and I can hear the water. And I'm like, unless the water table is like right there, bro, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's basically like the way he describes it's a sinkhole waiting to happen.
But I think there's even an effect in the movie where you can like hear the water.
Yeah,
like
you hear
put
like a trickling sound.
Yeah. So I thought that was very funny.
But it's like, it's so funny because this is like, I do get the sense watching the film that these aren't really, they're not the popular kids. The popular kids are probably
You don't think Jay's popular? He looks like he's the the head senior, the guy with the great car.
I think that Jay is there because at some
quarterback
point,
of the football team.
So this is totally my made up story in my head. I think that he and Max Basil Exposition like grew up together, grew up a couple houses over, and Max got invited to this party, and he told Jay about it and got Jay invited. And that's why Judy's there, because Judy doesn't hang out with any of these people.
No, she didn't want to. She heard who was throwing the party, and she was like, God, I don't want to fucking go to that.
Right. So I think that that's what's going on, is like Jay and Max probably know each other from back in the day.
Yeah.
He got him invited, and then he's thinking like, where do I want to get Judy? Do I want to take Judy to the big party that's happening where there's like, it's going to be butts to nuts, wall to wall people?
Yeah, butts to nuts is no good.
Or do I want to take her to the spooky house where she's
scared,
close, and there's going to be a lot of empty rooms for us to sneak away to? That's his entire plan with this night. He doesn't give a fuck who's there.
No.
He wants to get laid. That's it. And that's why he like dresses in that outfit and like kind of claims like he's Don Johnson. I think he just dressed in his nicest duds because he wanted to get Judy in bed. Which,
by the way, he pulls out every like terrible like sexual assault cliche in the book. He's like, "Oh, come on, you want to,
come on, baby." Aren't you cold, baby?
Right.
Don't you want to snuggle, baby?
Right.
Oh, you getting scared?
But he's like basically calls her a prude,
Yeah. And then he goes and starts, because Suzanne, Linnea Quigley's character Suzanne is, I mean, literally, they have her character acting like a dog in heat.
Yeah.
She is like, they're supposed to be like, they light a fire and she's supposed to be like, they're getting warm because the house is cold. And she goes over, Max is there. He's just lit the fire because, he is probably a Boy Scout or some shit. He knows exactly what to do. He gets the fire going and he's kneeling by the fire. And she goes over to warm herself up. And she's literally just waving her ass back and forth in front of Max's face. Like, don't you want some of this?
Yeah.
And so when Judy won't go along with, Lance's passes, he's making all these different remarks and flirting and making passes at her. And when Judy won't go along with it, he immediately goes over and starts dancing with Suzanne.
Right. Yeah. He just fucking walks away.
He does. He goes into this night, I am getting laid.
But it's not like the Irish goodbye, right? He just
just walk out.
Just walks out.
Just say, "Excuse me." You just leave.
Right.
Excuse me, I gotta go do a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then so the party is like, you can kind of tell, like they when Helen pulls out the strobe light and Suzanne is like, "Oh, fuck yeah." Like, I've never seen somebody so fucking jazzed about a strobe light.
Strobe lights are fun. Strobe lights are fun.
And then they make the classic. What's the classic teenage Halloween mistake in a horror movie?
What, they split up to have sex?
No. They perform a what?
They perform the seance?
Yeah, they do the scrying.
Yeah.
They do the scrying. They find an old mirror.
Yep.
And they start scrying. And we get some more character development, because this is where now Roger establishes that he's a Christian. His dad's a preacher. He doesn't go in for this stuff. So he's going to sit off to the side while they do it. And of course, they don't realize that they're trying to do this fun party thing, but they are in a demon infested house. So, of course, immediately this unleashes and unlocks the demonic presence. And now, leading into that, the one girl gets scared. She actually sees like a vision of something scary in the mirror. Helen sees like her death.
Yeah.
Just before that, there's a scary demon face.
Yeah.
And then the mirror falls over and breaks.
This is a cool shot. It's a cool shot with the yeah. Go ahead.
He gets all their faces in the broken pieces of mirror. Brad, how do you think they did that?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Take a guess.
I don't know. Don't make me think.
That's a practical shot. That is not done with any trickery other than they took the shards of glass and they glued them to a board. And then they lifted the board up at an angle so that you couldn't see the camera. The camera's like down, shot straight on. And they lift the board up at like a 45 degree or whatever. And they figured out how they could position all the actors up above the camera so that all their faces would show up in a different shard of glass. And then they just have to hit those marks and all their faces are visible as they're talking. And it's all just done with some glue and a board and the pieces of mirror.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, there's stuff that they do in a movie even like this one where it would be considered by most cinephiles to be a lesser film, but he does some amazing stuff. He does a little bit of the Sam Raimi cam,
Yep.
The demon vision.
Demon vision, yep.
Where it's floating around trying to pick who to take over first. And of course Suzanne is just standing there with her mouth open while she's putting on her lipstick, so the demon slides right in.
So how much of a stereotype is Sal?
Oh, Sal falls just.
Whoa.
Yeah, he needs a couple of
over here. Oh,
yeah, ain't not for nothing, but it's spooky.
Bada bing, bada bang, I'm out of here.
Oh wait, yeah, yo.
Yeah. Oh my God, seriously.
I think there's something fucked up with Suzanne. Oh,
but I read that actor was in. I've mentioned this show before, and I think you think I'm crazy, but there was a show in 1988 called Second Chance with Matthew Perry.
Oh wow!
Where that's where I first knew Matthew Perry. So a guy dies, right, and he gets a chance. He goes to heaven. He gets a chance to go back and fix his mistakes that he made as a kid. And so the younger version of him is Matthew Perry, and he goes back. And the guy who plays Sal is like Matthew Perry's best friend in the show. So, and then like it didn't work. Like that premise didn't work, so they took like the guy out of it, the old version out, and it was just a show about Matthew Perry and his friends. It's called Boys Will Be Boys.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
That's really weird. Oh, and this is also...
I don't know if it's that weird. It was a good show. I kind of enjoyed it. But they took it off the air. I was pretty disappointed. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Are you going to be okay?
No, I just remember like, oh, I really like this show, and then it was gone. It's crappy that they canceled it.
Yeah. Now
I hold that bitterness, all these years later.
Yeah, no.
30-some years later.
Anyway. So after the scary event of the seance, the interrupted seance, a bunch of them want to, rightly so, a bunch of them want to go. Like a bunch of them have the right inclination. Like, we want to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Of course, you got Stooge and Sal and Jay. They're like, no, we want to stay and get laid. If there's any chance. But even Angela, for a second, Angela kind of wants to go.
Yeah.
Because Angela, this is actually where probably the first time I learned what was the difference between like a haunted house. Because Angela gives like the description. Like they ask her, like, what's the difference between a haunted house and a possessed house? And she gives like the description about, well, like a haunted house has ghosts. Those used to be people.
Yep.
A possessed house has demons. Those were never people.
Right.
They're like creatures from the dawn of existence.
Pure evil.
Yeah. And so even Angela's kind of freaked out and she wants to leave, but then Suzanne, possessed Suzanne, she like talks everybody into staying.
Mhm.
Like, I think oh, you guys are pussies, like we're here to party. I thought we were here to party. And then she immediately possesses Angela with a hot kiss.
Yep.
Between two lovely ladies. But that's how it transfers. It goes mouth to mouth.
Yes, it does.
So
some hot Linnea and Amelia action.
yeah, and then she immediately is like, hey, Stooge, don't you want to come get some?
Stooge should, like, he's too stupid to know something's up.
Oh yeah, he right away. If you notice, like Sal immediately knows something's going on.
Yep. Yeah. He's
Sal
kind
is
of the
like-
he's kind of the smart one in the movie.
He really is. Like it's actually one of those things where I would say it's a bit of a shame as far as who they choose to survive, because Judy's kind of the obvious. She's the classic idea of like a final girl.
Right.
But then she survives and Roger survives.
Mm-hmm.
And Roger, unfortunately, like it's I'm not sure like what the idea or the intention is by having Roger like last to the end of the movie. Other than now, I've been reading The Black Guy Dies First,
Mm-hmm.
a great book about the history, some of the history of African Americans in film and the tropes, in horror films especially. The classic one being The Black Guy Dies First, and they actually mention Roger. They actually mention this film, and they mention Roger in the book, and they talk about, unfortunately, he kind of fits that classic mold of the scared black character.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's a bit of a holdover from the old black and white films, where you'd have like a black character walk into the haunted house, hear some noises, get scared, their eyes would get all big, and they feet don't fail me now, and they'd run out the door.
Right. Yeah.
And that's kind of Roger, and it's
Yeah.
like Roger is sort of not going against type in any way. This character is written, and I mean, I don't know if he was written to be a black character. I don't think so. I think they probably just added a black actor because I think they kind of realized we have a very monotone cast here.
So then is that just the way the actor kind of portrayed it?
It's very possible. It's very possible. It's hard to know where to kind of place that ownership of, like, if you're a young black actor, like, do you speak up and say, hey, do I have to run away again? Like, am I going to run away every scene?
Well, I mean, like, yeah, I guess there's like a way to. Well, I guess it's not the actor's fault. It is kind of the way it's written. But like you said, it wasn't. It may not have been written to be a black character, though. Then it had to have been.
But
the way it was written.
The idea, though, then is, so okay, if you've written it and it's not a black character,
yeah,
and then you decide, hey, I feel like we don't have enough representation in the film, and you decide you want to cast a black actor, why don't you cast him as Max? Why don't you cast him at? It's sort of like that idea of like,
mm-hmm.
kind of, why then does he become the scared guy? You why did you make that the black character?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So it's one of these questions that comes up, and I mean, this is the sort of mid '80s, mid to late, and so a lot of this stuff was still going on. They still had a lot of you saw a lot of black characters pop up in a lot of films that were still sort of just modified versions of these old tropes.
Mm.
And even they make a great point. They say even when you get into the '90s and you get like the gangsters showing up, the gangstas, as they were all written to be,
Oh boy, yep.
by all the white writers.
Yep.
When you get the gangsters show up in the '90s, those guys are just a sort of modified version of this same character, of the scared black character. Because if you ever know, they point out the fact that in a lot of those movies from the '90s, when everybody was kind of supposed to be, the '90s were the fanciful time where we thought racism was over, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yet in these movies, these characters, these thug and gangster characters would show up and they'd be like all tough, they'd present all tough. And then the scary thing happens and they're immediately the ones who are like, motherfucker, I'm not going in there,
Yeah.
And it's like, and so the writers of the book, The Black Guy Dies First, are saying that watching that as a black person, you're like, well, there's not much different except, his clothes, and he maybe carries a gun, but it's a gun that he shoots at the air, because he gets scared in a scene and he just shoots it wildly in the air.
Yeah.
And they're like, all you did was take that same character and make him at least initially act like a tough guy. Well, thanks, but no thanks.
Right.
So you get Roger. He's scared. He's ready to leave already. And they continue on. Now they're all doing the split up. And Brad, what's the one rule?
Oh, there's so many rules, but don't have sex.
Don't have sex. Don't split up.
Yeah.
And they all split up.
They all split up and to go have sex. Yeah. Yep, they sure do. And it's, I don't blame her. She doesn't want to do it. It's a broken down old house. Like there's like nails everywhere. There's like,
yeah, we're talking about Judy, right?
Judy. Yeah. So, I get that she doesn't want to, it's not exactly comfortable. And then she's on the bottom. That makes it even worse because she's the one lying on the table or whatever the hell they're on.
It's on an embalming table, dude.
And on an embalming table, yeah.
They're on an
because
embalming
of the funeral
table.
Yeah, the funeral parlor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not comfortable.
Well, yeah, and it's sort of like we talked about it before about, with Halloween and stuff and teenagers like having sex in abandoned houses and things like that. It's like Judy at least has the integrity to be like, look, I'm not sure I'm down with this with you here. Like, but this is definitely not how I imagined my first time was ever going to be. Like, I'm not doing it on an embalming table just to get it over with.
But Linda and Bob did it in an abandoned house. This is a funeral parlor. This is an old funeral parlor. So, like, Linda brought it at least. Well, in the original Halloween, it was just it was a lived-in house. But in the remake, it wasn't. They did it in the Myers house. She brought a sleeping bag. So she brought something to lie on and be comfortable with and said, well, she kind of thought it through. This, like, he just threw her on an old, dusty embalming table thinking that she would want to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. It's weak. It's weak. You got to do better than that.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it when you're young, when you're like a teenager or whatever, you're doing it like rabbits or whatever. So, you kind of do it wherever you can, but still not really a funeral parlor.
Well, and then of course the alternative, we eventually see where Max and Franny are doing it. Where are they?
Oh, they're in a coffin.
They're in a fucking coffin.
They're doing it. That was funny. That's more comfortable than an embalming table.
True. And it doesn't necessarily, if it's a funeral home.
Got a little pillow in there, right?
if there's a funeral home and there's a coffin, chances are that was like a display coffin for sales, coffin sales,
Yeah.
right? It's doubtful that there would be a coffin that would have had a body in it still in a funeral home
Hmm.
that's been abandoned. That's highly unlikely. So yeah, I mean, Max and Franny, I think, made good decisions. Jay is just a shitheel.
So speaking of funeral parlor, have you thought about how you want to be? Do you want to be buried, or do you want to be cremated, or do you want to be above ground with a bell in that goes into your casket, and you ring it if you're still alive?
You're like that meme of that kid. Like, do you want to? No, I want to be cremated.
You do.
Jenny wants to be composted. She says
Oh God, ew.
she wants to give life to a tree or something. But no, I want to be cremated.
Circle of life. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
So-
No, I want to be buried above ground.
Above.
I want someone to spend a lot of money to build a big tomb.
Oh, a mausoleum.
A mausoleum. So I'm buried above ground, and I have a bell, just in case. Just in case y'all fucked up.
So can we talk for a minute about Angela's dance?
Yeah, I like Angela's dance. You're not going to criticize.
No. I want to know. I want to know your thoughts on Angela's dance.
It's beautiful, man.
Yeah, it is highly entertaining. No, I will put it this way: like when.
Well, you
when
said
I
she was a dancer.
Yes, and she choreographed this entire dance sequence.
There you go.
And she dances to Stigmata Martyr by Bauhaus.
Yeah.
And apparently she knew those guys from her history as a dancer for music videos and other things. And I guess she was the one that reached out and actually got their permission to use the song because she really wanted to dance to this song in the movie. And it is a highly erotic, highly spooky dance. And the song Stigmata Martyr, I mean, makes it damn near by the climax of the dance. It's terrifying. Sal is he is rightfully creeped out by the end of her dance.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Because also they do a great thing that as the dance goes on, it almost looks like you might think oh, they're doing a music video style, thing, but she actually starts almost teleporting.
Yep.
From one part of the place and part of the dance to another. And by Sal's reaction, you get the gist that Sal is actually seeing as if she's moving, just between blinks of the strobe light, which turned on by itself. So he's all fucked up. He's this is fucking bullshit. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the fuck she's on. But no, Angela's dance, and I think her dance, Amelia Kincaid's dance in this movie, I think is, for me, I believe what put the movie on the map as far as making it
memorable.
Big, memorable. What would then become, for people like us, for horror movie fans, a classic.
Yeah.
I think if you don't have that dance in this movie does not last as long as it has. I don't believe.
I think it's certainly a highlight. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, and needless to say, I had a giant crush on Amelia Kincaid back in the day after watching that dance.
Okay.
So I had a few horror movie crushes.
Who are your biggest horror movie crushes?
Well, we already talked about In Night of the Comet, Catherine Mary Stewart.
Yeah.
I love Catherine Mary Stewart. I love Amelia Kincaid, especially in this film. And oh gosh, who else was there? Well, Heather Langenkamp. By the time, and we've talked about that before as well. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3.
Mm.
When when they gave her the gray streak in her hair and the whole bit. I mean, in part 3, she's just like amazingly hot.
Yep.
What about you, Brad? What about you?
Man, Johnny Depp in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't really have any horror movie crushes.
Is there like, not even a crush, but is there anybody you remember, like, you saw a particular horror movie and you were like, you know, oh wow, they're pretty hot.
What?
Like,
Is there anybody in a horror movie that I thought was hot? What are you asking me?
we can move on.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
So now we're getting in the part where Suzanne is like fully immersed in her possession.
So if you want to see Linnea Quigley naked, this is the movie for you, because she's naked quite a bit. Yeah,
this one and Return of the Living Dead.
Return of the Living Dead, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, when she plays Trash in Return of the Living Dead.
Yep.
But coming up, they're gearing up now for the special effect that I had mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a special effect in the film where she's been doing this thing because she's obsessed with her looks, and the demon convinces her that she looks hideous, so that it can take like full possession of her.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's so early on, she's kind of fighting it. It's like hard to tell when it's her and when it's not. But she does have a private moment where she does look like she's trying to struggle against it. But it finally gets to her because of her looks. And then there's the scene where she's been drawing on her face with her lipstick all over her face.
Yep.
And then she rips open her blouse.
Yep.
And then she draws with the lipstick down around her bosom.
Yep.
And then proceeds to shove the lipstick into her boob.
Yep.
Right through the nipple. And so back in the day, I didn't know anything about prosthetics.
Yep.
I didn't know anything about that stuff. So I'm thinking for years until I kind of learned about body casts and things like that. For years, I thought, how the fuck did they do that? That looked like, that was like a magic trick to me.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out if it was like a weird collapsible disappearing lipstick or something. But here it's of course, they just did a cast of her chest.
Yep.
And so when it gets to the scene, it's a fake chest.
Yep.
And she shoves the lipstick. There was a small slit that, because it's like a silicone latex, like the slit's invisible.
Yep.
And so she pushes it through the slit inside the prosthetic.
Yep.
And then when she pulls her finger out, the hole completely disappears again. And fun fact about that is the special effects guy who was in charge of creating that effect, Linnea Quigley, his name is Steve Johnson. He was the special effect guy that on the movie that had to make the cast. So Linnea Quigley came in on like a weekend and had to get her from her neck down to her waist cast so they could create the fake boobs, but they would look like her boobs.
Yeah. And
Steve Johnson was the special effects guy who got to cast Linnea Quigley's boobs and got to smear all the stuff all over her boobs. Yeah,
tough
she
job.
Married him. They got married.
Oh, well, there you go.
They ended up going out after that.
Yep.
And they got married.
That's quite the inn he had.
Yeah. Just imagine, like, I mean, given there's probably something about Steve Johnson, but just imagine if you were the guy who was like Steve Johnson. They come to the special effects crew and they're like, all right, guys, we got to do a body mold. It's going to require coming in on a Saturday.
Yep.
And they're like, Larry, you're kind of up on the rotation. We're going to have you come in on the Saturday to do the buy. Come on. Come on. I ain't coming in no fucking Saturday. I ain't coming in no fucking Saturday to do no fucking body cast. Come on.
Fucking bullshit. I'm quitting.
Yeah, this is the bullshit. And then Steve Johnson standing there like, Larry, I'll trade with you.
Yeah.
I'll trade with you.
I got you.
And then it's Linnea Quigley. And she's topless the whole day.
Yeah.
And Larry goes, what the fuck? That was supposed to be me.
Fucked up. You fucked up.
You fucked up. And now Jay is about to finally get laid.
Oh, well, yeah. I guess so.
Is this like every teenage man's nightmare? Like that you're finally about to have the experience, and all of a sudden they look down at you with this demon face and these giant, nasty, gnarly teeth.
Yeah.
They're like, stop looking at me.
Yeah.
And she cores his eyes out, which of course is like a little bit of an animatronic head there.
Yeah.
She sticks her thumbs through and makes them spurt. And Franny and Max are like, they're like the couple that you kind of like. I kind of hoped Max and Franny would make it. You know, they're not.
I didn't like Max all that much.
You didn't like Basil Exposition?
No. So back in the beginning, when Stooge's car got a flat tire, Ray and Max, they all pull up. Judy, they pull up and they ask him if they needed a hand. And instead of giving him a hand, they clapped and they gave him a hand. And I thought that was kind of a dick move, Kyle.
Yeah.
Because then they pulled off, and it was like, well, you should have helped them. Judy said should have helped them. And he's like, well, it's just a flat tire. But still, what if they didn't have a jack?
True.
Like, you got to help, right?
Friendship. It's all about friendship.
That's right.
Maybe that's what the movie's about.
Maybe that's it.
It's about the power of friendship.
About friendship.
But actually, I mean, this movie fully reinforces the classic, 80s horror movie trope of the bad kids get killed and turned into demons. The good kids get away.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
There is no subtext to the film.
Right.
There's some interesting symbolism, some interesting archetypes with the costumes and things.
Yeah.
But there's no deeper layer to this other than bad kids die, good kids live.
Right.
And really, if you're looking at it that way, then if you've established that Roger is this like good Christian boy who, doesn't drink, doesn't do drugs, doesn't have sex, doesn't do any of that, then yeah, him getting away, you kind of have to.
Right.
If you set up those rules, you almost have to make sure Roger gets away.
Right.
Otherwise, at some point, you have to try and set some way up that Roger would get corrupted somehow.
Yeah.
And of course, Judy is the quintessential good girl. She's actually like almost sickeningly good.
So what's Sal? Because Sal basically comes around and like basically sacrifices himself, doesn't he? He kind of, or he dies, but he dies like fighting for Judy.
Yeah, he dies trying to protect them. Yeah. Right. But unfortunately, I think it's probably a commentary. I mean, Sal, you can tell, he's not as bad a guy. Like Judy tries to stick up for him. Sal's not a bad guy. She and Sal are friends.
Right. So there's something there. So she sees something in him.
Yeah, but Sal is still always kind of like maybe trying to like get an in. Like he wants to replace Jay really. As Judy's boyfriend. He goes around the house like. The little brother, and him have a little interaction because he goes around the house looking for Judy.
Yeah.
The little brother has to say, the only reason Sal shows up to this party is
Are you saying Sal has bad intentions?
Yeah. Sal wants some of that. He wants some of that. He wants a little some of that.
I don't know. I think he really likes Judy.
No, Sal wants some of that.
I think he's
Some-
hard
some
on
that
the
kind.
outside. He's hard on the outside, but he's soft on the inside, Kyle.
So Sal is the Cadbury egg of Night of the Demons.
I can change him.
No, I think it's one of the.
Yeah. That's what Judy's thinking. I can change
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, I think that if there was no Jay, like if Jay hadn't kind of like schmoozed his way into Judy's life, because you can tell Jay had to have presented himself as, you know, Mr. Right to get Judy to go for him. But if there was no Jay, then Judy and Sal might actually have ended up maybe as something. I mean, obviously, you know, he cares about her. Like you said, he protects her and everything. But I also think on another level, it's, you know, I mean, Sal is not exactly, you know, he doesn't come off as like the good guy. The good.
I disagree. I think so. Jay's the one who ran off. Like he was. So when the movie started, Jay's the one who seemed like the all-American, you know, kind of stand-up guy to take Judy out, right? And
Yeah.
Sal was the, you know, maybe the guy from the wrong side of the tracks, you know, kind of guy hounding around Judy. But when the movie starts and there's all this, you know, they're faced with their own death and stuff like that, it's Sal that rises up and protects Judy, and Ray runs away and tries to bang Lene. Or Jay. Not Ray. Jay runs away and tries to bang Lene Quigley, you know. So
Yeah.
right.
I also like.
There's got to be something there.
Yeah. True.
Like,
You know, maybe I am a little biased because they do kind of paint Sal as like a bit of like the he feels like a little bit of a throwback to like the greaser type.
Yeah,
you know?
He's the Fonz.
Yeah, he's like the Fonz, or you know, or even even though the movie hasn't come around yet, a little bit of the Goodfellas. You know, he's got a little bit of the Goodfellas about him. You know, but yeah, and you know, it's kind of unfortunate because like at every turn Judy kind of gets left alone, like whether it's Sal, whether it's Jay, whether it's Roger, you know, she's the one that has to like convince Roger to like do something,
right?
You know,
yeah,
she just keeps getting, and then they have all these great shots that they mix in of Angela just stalking the house while everybody's being turned into like demon zombies or something. Angela's like floating up and down the hallways.
So I wonder how you would categorize this movie, because it's got everything that a horror movie is, right? But is it scary? Like, are you scared of Night of the Demons? Even though it's clearly a horror movie, it's called Night of the Demons. It's in a spooky house. There's a lot of blood, you know, all that stuff. It's got everything a horror movie is. But is it scary?
I would say that up to a certain age group,
yeah,
this would be a scary movie, because I think you figure this came out in 88, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how old are we in 88?
9,
right? So this comes out, so probably by the time it hit cable, we were probably 10.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that like 10 to 13, 9, 10 to 13, that's your target age group for this.
Yeah.
Maybe get 14, 15 in there depending. But yeah, really, so let's say 10 to 15. That's your target age group for this movie.
Right.
Though those groups probably would be. I know this movie did keep me up some nights when I would watch it late at night on cable.
Okay. Yeah.
When I was that age, this movie would keep me up. You know, just the demon face makeups and things alone would keep me up. And then, of course, because I get freaked out about anything that has to do with like somebody's head getting like crushed anyway. So like the idea of like somebody putting their thumb through your eyeballs,
yeah,
is a little freaky to me. You know, I get a little wishy-washy about that.
Yeah, I hear you.
Anything like what really affects me is anything that could happen to you while you are still completely aware that it's happening.
Yes.
So the idea, like, it's one thing, like, if something happens to your arm or leg, right? You're like, okay, that's bad, but I have a chance to survive that, right?
Mhm.
So even, because like I have a first aid certification, so it's like, even if my leg got chopped off, would I be completely fucking horrified? Absolutely.
Mm.
But I would hope that like a second later, my brain would kick in and be like, I need to fucking get my belt and fucking cut that off tight. And then kind of like just lay down and like wait to go into shock and then hope that help arrives really soon. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But the idea that like if your head's getting crushed and you like, like you're like literally inside your head hearing your fucking skull beginning to crack and fully aware that like I'm about to fucking die in 1 fucking second, or the thumbs in the eyes where all of a sudden you're completely blind and you're literally having the experience of someone's thumbs in your, like, you're like, oh, those are way back there. I'm never going to see again if I live, those kind of things.
Is that my
creep me
brain?
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That shit creeps me out.
Yeah.
Arms getting cut off, even guts falling out. I don't get as creeped out by that stuff as I do the heads, anything with the head.
Anything with the head, huh? Okay. I
Yeah.
got you. Yeah. Yeah, you don't like the head crushes. That bothers you.
No, they freak me the fuck out.
Well, I suppose it depends on how quick it is. Like, if it's very quick, if it's just like crunch, you're dead. Okay, well, you didn't really see it coming. You heard a loud crunch and the lights went out.
Yeah.
So, but
Like
if it's like a slow, it's like a slow thing, or if it's like the Rob Zombie Halloween 2 Michael Myers stomp to the head where he just kept stomping the guy over and over again.
Yeah. If it's a couple of guys in coveralls that are like with a block and tackle loading a grand piano into a building and I trip and I fall and the paint cans that I've been carrying roll out of my grip and hit one of the 2 workmen in a leg, taking him out. And so then their combined weight can no longer keep the piano aloft. And then the grand piano comes hurtling down at terminal velocity and hits me square on the skull as I'm laying face down on the pavement. Yeah, I would prefer that. I would prefer that to the alternatives.
That was good. That was brilliant. Oh my goodness.
Or if I'm hanging out outside the anvil store,
God,
waiting for my anvil to be brought out to me.
Right, sure. Oh, shit. Yep.
Yeah, the young stock boy up in the second floor of the anvil store rolling the new anvil.
Right.
And he accidentally loses his grip and it goes straight towards the window.
My God.
I'm standing out there on the phone going, what? It's a boy. Crunch.
So Sal's dead.
That's right. Sal is dead.
Sal's dead. So definitely the second one, but this is considered horror comedy?
No, I don't think so.
So Sal dies, right? He gets impaled. And then they show his gravestone, and the gravestone says Sal Romero, born like 1971, and then it says died, and it says tonight.
Yeah, that's the one part. That's the one part where it gets a little goofy.
Because in the second one, there's more jokes.
Yeah, right. It's definitely, the second one is more made for like a campy. It's more of a campy type of humor where there's a bunch of one-liners and all that kind of stuff, because it's sort of like there's two ways you can go. Like when you make a horror movie that becomes considered a classic, and you go to make a second one, you can only really go in one of two directions. You can either make it harder and darker than the original, trying to get bigger scares, more gross out, all that kind of stuff. Or the other direction you can go is to kind of acknowledge what a bit of a goofy premise it is, because you can't just tell the same story again.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to go see Night of the Demons 2 if it's just going to be another replace Judy with some other innocent blonde woman, with a very anglicized name. Like it can't be a second movie where it's Janie or something, going back to Hull House and going through the same experience, because that's boring. Nobody's going to give a shit.
Yep.
So you can only either go more graphic, darker, heavier, or go lighter.
Yeah.
And kind of acknowledge how kind of goofy the whole thing is. And so with the second Night of the Demons, that's where they went.
But it's gory though. Like it's gory and bloody, and it's. I'm telling you, Kyle. So I guess I'll bring it up. Now. I'm gonna say this. It's okay. It's not better than Night of the Demons. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
But I really like Night of the Demons too. I enjoy it.
That's fine. I mean, there is room for movies like Night of the Demons 2. It's just you can't go into Night of the Demons 2 really at all expecting that you're going to get the same experience or better than what you got with Night of the Demons 1. You can still enjoy it for what it is and the whole bit, but it's going to be more of you're going to laugh. It's more laughs. It's a guy playing basketball with his own decapitated head.
That was great. Come on.
It has a little bit of that. It makes that jump the way Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 began the jump of let's have a little more jokey jokes. Let's have some one-liners.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have that. That's where Night of the Demons Part 2 goes. Is let's have some jokey jokes. And, and I mean, it's the cast was pretty good. It did have the one girl who didn't know what kind of movie she was in. All her lines were delivered like she was some dame in a 1940s mystery film. Where she's like, we're going to go to Hull House.
Yeah.
And you're coming.
Right. Yeah.
And it's got Christine Taylor. We talked about how Christine Taylor is in it. Ben Stiller's wife is in it. Marsha.
Yep. But all around it was it's a lot of fun, but it is very gory. Like I was like, ooh, this is like the kills are better. And then she turns into like this like snake woman creature thing at the end.
The snake thing was that was weird. I was very surprised they went there. But Angela.
Pretty good effects though for Night of the Demons 2.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the studio had high hopes.
Did they? That you think they had high hopes for Night of the Demons 2?
Well, yeah, because Night of the Demons had become a popular movie, especially on video. I think Night of the Demons 2 was a straight to video. Night of the Demons 2, I don't believe came out in the theater.
I don't think so.
I'd have to look at it.
I don't remember. It came out in 1994. We would have gone to the theater to see it.
I think it was right to the video rack.
Yeah.
And so, they had hopes in the sense that they gave it a budget to make a sequel. If they didn't think they were going to make any money on it, they wouldn't have greenlit it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think they believed they would make money, and they threw enough money at it to make those effects to produce, that film. But unfortunately, it's one of those where that is the era where there was a lot of great straight to video, but some of the straight to video like just did not do well. It did not get the response they wanted. You know, it, like you see a lot of documentaries and stuff now where they paint the video era as like, oh, it was just this magical era for everybody. But there were a lot of people that lost out in the video era. There were people that produced films that they thought were going to be these big, and they thought were going to, they're seeing all these other movies that go to VHS and do like even better than they did in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a lot of producers who were going like, oh, video, we got to put out videos. We got to get videos on the rental racks. We got to get videos we got to get it into West Coast Video and Blockbuster. We got to get it in all these rental stores. And that's how we're going to make all our money.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to make unbelievable amounts of money, And it's like, well, but in one sense, like there are some like wonderful, fun gems, like A Night of the Demons 2 that might be out there on a video rack. But there were a lot of movies that died on the video rack. They put them out. Yeah, they put them out thinking that they were going to make all this bank, and audiences just didn't respond to it.
Yeah. Well, there's movies like that now, like with all the streaming services and stuff like that just get lost. Like there's big stars in these movies, and I've never heard of them. And they're just lost in a sea of movies that no one's ever fucking heard of.
I won't go on another rant like I did last episode, but
oh, good.
I mean, Netflix is still the king of this, right? I mean, look at what they just had Electric State come out. Electric State with Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown. Crickets.
Yeah.
Crickets.
Yeah.
Nobody is watching that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen one good review of it anywhere online. Nobody's watching it. And they sunk a ton of money. I mean, that's got CGI out the wazoo.
Mm-hmm.
And then these big name stars that have these like Millie Bobby Brown is like under contract with Netflix.
Yep.
Like all her projects that have been coming out almost exclusively have all been through Netflix. I think she only had the one. She had one that came out, the fantasy film that she did that came out on HBO, on Max. But other than that, everything has been Netflix. All her Enola Holmes, the 2 Enola Holmes movies have been on Netflix. Of course, they got the next season of Stranger Things coming up. And that's the thing. It's not her fault. It's not Chris Pratt's fault. It's just Netflix just, it looks sometimes like other studios, other streaming services, people that made VHS, straight to video stuff back in the 80s and 90s. It's a little bit, it feels like they throw their money away. Like they
don't promote it. Like you don't see anything about it. There's no promotion.
They rely on the fact
they just think that so many people are gonna turn on Netflix and they're gonna see, Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown, on the screen and go, ooh, click.
Yeah.
Nah, man, you didn't hype up the movie at all.
I think when all you're looking at are subscriber numbers, it makes you overconfident.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can sit here and say, Kyle Thatcher, you're on this small podcast. You haven't gone to school to study marketing, business, all this. You know what? All I need is I love movies. That's all I need. I love movies.
I went to school for marketing.
What do you say? Do you think this works? Do you think what they're doing is working?
No.
Is this what you would do if they asked you what to do? No. It's you got to go back to the basic principles of, make a good product. Start there. Start with a good product. Don't just do a bunch of stuff because you're trying to top Marvel or you're trying to, outdo this, that, or the other guy. Just make a good movie.
Make a good movie, but promote the movie.
Well, and believe in it. Believe in it. Like, look at the going trend at Warner Brothers, which is owned by Discovery, which owns HBO, and the going trend at Warner Brothers is, you know what? We don't think this movie, even if they think the movie is going to make money,
Mm-hmm.
to turn a profit, what they consider their profit, it's not going to make this percentage. And so, you know what? Shelve it. We'll write it off on the taxes.
Yeah.
That's who is making our movies now? Is these business school dipshits who think
Terrible.
that's what movies are about? Where are the people who actually, like, it used to be like all the studios used to be run by people who actually like went to the movies and loved movies, and it's not that way anymore. They got one guy at Netflix who claims, and I won't name any names, but they got a guy at Netflix now who claims to love movies. He claims to love movies, and yet they won't put anything out in the theater. Like, even the stuff that they say is like this big blockbuster thing that we think is going to be amazing and everybody's going to respond to. They won't put anything out in the theater, and Netflix won't put anything out on physical media. They won't put it. You can't find anything, any Netflix property on DVD,
because they're going to tell you that their reach is better than the theaters.
Yeah, and then
they're going to tell you they have so many million subscribers, and they believe in the movie or whatever, so they put it up again. They just that's all they do is they just put it up on when you turn on Netflix, they put it on the home screen.
Yeah, they just vomit it up on there.
But it's like, okay, whatever. Like, I didn't hear anything about this movie, so maybe I'll watch it, maybe I won't.
Well, yeah, and I can't even tell you how many times we've given them something a chance, a movie or a show on Netflix, or even on some of the others, and you give it a chance, and you get 5 minutes in, you're like, what? No, this isn't holding my interest.
Yeah.
This isn't worth it, But yeah, it's kind of, these guys can pull out their, Excel spreadsheets all they want and show you, how their model is so profitable and the whole bit. And then meanwhile, Ryan Coogler with Sinners and Tom Cruise with, Mission Impossible 23 are going to blow them out of the fucking water every day of the week because they produce something that they believe in and they give a shit about. And they're like, you know what? Yeah, we actually do respect your money. We respect how much it costs to go to the theater. And so, like Tom Cruise, I might disagree with Tom Cruise on a personal level with, his stuff, but
don't want to get sued.
The dude knows what good filmmaking is all about.
Oh yeah, he makes good movies.
When they went to make Top Gun 2,
yeah,
he was like, what is going to make the audience know that I respect their time and their money? Real planes, actors in the planes, flying in the sky, doing real shit. That's what's going to prove the time and money is worth it.
Yeah.
Ryan Coogler, he makes this movie, and it's the response it's getting. Like on paper, it doesn't look like it should be. It's a vampire movie set in the 1930s, and it doesn't look like it should work. But the response that he's getting defies all that.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you, if he had brought that movie to Netflix, that movie would not be doing as well as it is right now.
Right. No.
I would.
No, he was right to put it in the theater. But yeah, no, it's crushing. So, yeah. But
so on that note,
Night of the Demons. So a Night of the Demons. So there's a couple things. So
yeah,
Judy and Roger end up living because they get over the wall.
They manage to escape over the wall. By the time the sun rises,
mm-hmm.
You got to escape. That, and then when the sun rises, it sanitizes the site.
Right. So they get away, and good for them. They live, And now they go do a little epilogue scene with the old man. And
which is totally unnecessary.
yeah, it's unnecessary, but it's fun. Again, 80s.
Yeah.
Gotta love 80s horror movies. Anyway, so he sits down and his wife had made him like a pie, right?
Right.
And he's eating, he's like wolfing it down. And he's like, when did you cook this? Like, she's like, oh, this afternoon, dear. And he's like,
oh, where'd you get
he's
the
like,
apples?
where'd you get the apples? And she's like, oh, I used your apples. And he's like, my apples? And which had the razor blades in it. So his neck, the whole time he was eating razor blades and they started to come out through his neck and he collapses.
They're literally cutting
and all the blood is just gushing out of his neck and he collapses onto the table. And then she comes over and kisses him on the head and says, Happy Halloween, dear.
Yeah, she fucking murdered him.
She murdered him. Yeah.
That was intentional. That was completely intentional.
Mm-hmm.
She apparently even she was sick of his shit.
Yeah. Yep.
And him trying to kill the little neighborhood kids was her last straw.
Right.
She was like, fuck my husband.
Fuck this dude. Fuck this dude right here. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, she said she probably buried him in the backyard after that.
Right.
Probably chopped him up.
But it's stuff like we talked about the animated intro, and then you have like the dance, right? The big Angela dance. And then you have this like epilogue scene at the end where, the old man eats the apple pie with the razor blades. So it was like kind of it had those quirky things to this movie that make it stand out. I think that kind of like really identifies the movie, and separates it from maybe some of the other B movies of the 80s.
Well, you know what? I think it's one of those things too where we talked about it when we covered Halloween part 4, and how that was like this sort of like return to it opens with all the images, the Halloween, the cornfields and the jack-o'-lanterns and very fall. You can tell It's autumn. It's that kind of spooky chill is in the air. You can feel it. And with this movie, even though this is, obviously, somewhat campier, of course, because I mean, you get
definitely
Sal Romero's Tombstone. So even though this is campier, you get that sense with the opening, the animated opening, the transition from the animated flaming jack-o'-lantern to the jack-o'-lantern on top of Stooge's car, down to the end, the ending with the old man and the razor blades. It's all this stuff that for an 80s audience and even today's audience would bring you that quintessential spooky Halloween feeling. Even though beyond the fact that they're at a Halloween party, which Halloween Party was actually the working title before they settled on Night of the Demons, once they're at the Halloween party, you do start to lose some of that because then it's like the demon-infested house, starts coming to life and everything. So you do begin to lose some of that Halloween feel through the midsection of the movie. But I think as much as I said, it's useless, but I think Kevin Tenney does a fun, smart thing by bringing it back to that old man and the Halloween urban legend stuff and everything, because it bookends the movie.
Yes, it does.
To create a very Halloween feeling movie.
Yep.
And I think any movie that it takes good, smart filmmaking to know what it is. Mm-hmm. What is this? We're telling a scary story for people to watch on a spooky Halloween night, and that's how we're going to package it. And I think it sets the movie apart from other movies like it. There are a bevy of movies, similar to this that have come out.
Yep.
You know, through the decades, and even the sequels and then the remake. You know, they don't quite capture that same feeling that the original movie does.
For sure. Yeah.
You know. So yeah, definitely a movie to watch on a spooky, stormy evening, and especially best at Halloween.
Best at Halloween. Yep, absolutely.
And yeah, and you get to watch some great dancing.
One of my all-time favorites.
Absolutely. So next up, Brad, we're going to cover Night of the Creeps.
Night of the Creeps.
And that'll round out our Night of series, and then we'll move on to bigger and better things.
Well, not better.
On that note,
like the same things. I don't want to say better.
Okay. Different.
Well, I like the Night of the Creeps. I'd like the Night of the series.
Well, yeah. No, I'm not saying. you get
what
so
are you trying to
sensitive.
say?
You get so
You didn't
sensitive.
like this idea? You think
No,
it was
I love
stupid?
Am I stupid?
You think I'm stupid?
And on that note, from me
And me.
thanks for listening. Remember, the broadcast is coming from inside the house, and it's the whole house. Sexy dancing.
I still think you're calling me stupid.